everyone, it's Amanda, and today I'm going to do my October wrap-up. So I don't know if you noticed, but I did get a new bookshelf last week. I had an old computer armoire that I didn't want anymore. I sold it, and I bought a bookshelf, so perfect. And it's so nice because the books aren't double stacked anymore, and my shelves are not bowing. I'm going to try not to buy too many more books, though, so that these stay the way they are. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm going to get right into my wrap-up. So in October, I read 12 books. And so the first book I read was Eyes Wide Open by Ted Dekker. I have a review of this book as well as some others on my channel. So if you're interested in hearing what I thought of this one, you can go there. I really did love this book. I gave it a 5-star. The next book I read was Creature by John Saul, another book that I did a review of, and you can check that out and learn what it was about. It was really good. I'm looking forward to reading more books by John Saul, and I gave this one a 4-star. After that, I read Party Games by R.L. Stine. This is a Fear Street book that just came out. Fear Street has been long gone for many years, and they brought it back. It was a bit of a disappointment to me. It was your typical Fear Street story, but it doesn't have the magic when you're reading it in your 30s as it did when you were reading it in your teen years. But it was fun to go back and read it. I wasn't reading it for the literary quality because, honestly, it's not super well written, but it is a lot of fun and very entertaining. The story follows this girl who gets invited to a party by this rich boy who is a fear. The whole town is kind of named after him, or the street is named after him. And it's on this island, Fear Island. You have to take a boat to get there. Very and then there were none type of plot, which I kind of liked. And then there's actually like 2 plots that happen because in the middle of the story, things completely turn upside down. It was a good story. It was a fun mystery. I really enjoyed just going back to Fear Street, but like I said, I would have enjoyed it more if I was 15 reading it than I did in my 30s, but I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Full Dark, No Stars by Stephen King. This is a collection of short stories. There are 4, and this is another book that I did a review of on my channel, and I gave this a 4-star rating. I really liked all 4 stories. They were really good. I would definitely recommend you pick it up. So 4 stars for this. Then another book I reviewed on my channel, Isolation by Travis Thrasher. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Another story that was really creepy and just very interesting and different. So I liked that one a lot. Then I read Asylum by Madeline Rue. I don't have it with me anymore because I took it to Half Price Books and sold it to get new books. Was not a huge fan of this book. I know a lot of people have liked this book, but it just was not for me. And just I think I went into it expecting one thing and got something else. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. After that, I read House by Ted Dekker and Frank Peretti. This was pretty good. I have a review on this one on my channel, and this one I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Then I got The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. On my Kindle through the library, and I need to buy that book because I loved that book. I was going to do a review and I never got around to doing it, but it was so magical. I know that there are some pretty polarizing reviews on that book. It's like you either loved it or you hated it, or not a lot of like I liked it. It was like I loved it or I didn't love it. But I was on the love side. I think that the imagery of that story was what really made it amazing. Just such an awesome place. I want to go to that circus. I really do. It was just such a neat story. It's about a circus that only comes at night, and then there's these people that are having a competition, and it's wonderful. It's really good. I went into it knowing not much about it, and I think that's the way you want to go into it. I didn't buy it because I had heard some people say they didn't love it, and I wanted to read it through the library, but I will be picking it up because it was one of my favorites of the year, if not of all time. Really a great story. 5 stars. And I read Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I was a little bit on the disappointed side when I read this just because it is such a long-winded story. It's a great story. The plot is amazing. It's just really interesting. It has to do with death, and maybe we should leave well enough alone when things die. But it took 150 pages for anything to even happen. I knew what was going to happen in the story because, I mean, this book has been out for so long. I'm not going to spoil it, but something major happened. Actually, 2 kind of major things happened. And like I said, 150 pages before anything really happened. And he just kind of, he over-described things in a way. And I like Stephen King, but there are times when I just feel like I'm thinking to myself, okay, I get the point. Move on to the next story or the next plot or whatever you're going to. I liked it. I did not love it. The story also is pretty sad and just really strange. And I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick. By the time I read this book, I was starting to get a little bit worn out with the scary reads. I felt like I was getting a little tired of it. I don't know. So I don't think I enjoyed this book as much as I may have. It was an interesting story. It's about a girl named Martha. She moves into a new house with her dad. Her dad got remarried. She has a stepmom and a stepbrother. Of course, the parents go away for their honeymoon, and she's left alone with her stepbrother, and things start happening in the house and happening to her that are really strange. It was a pretty good book. It was definitely your typical teen horror type story. Again, not very much depth to it. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Halloween Party by Wendy Corsi Staub. I was really excited to read this one because I have a lot of books by this author that are for the adult mystery books, and this is one of her very first books. This is from a long time ago. I think it's from like 1994. I'm not sure if it was a teen book or if it's an adult book. It kind of could go either way, but it is about a teenager named Samantha who starts getting some threats, and I thought it was going to go in the way of the normal teen horror type books, but it actually had an interesting twist that I thought was pretty cool. It was pretty good. It was better written than a lot of the other books that I've read in this kind of genre. So I was actually pleased about that, but I still just gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The plot was good, but it wasn't so engaging that I loved it. And the last book I read was Bloody Mary and Other Tales for a Dark Night by Stefan Gimianowicz. I don't know. I have no idea. I am so sorry, but that is a really long name. This was a very good book. I went into it not knowing if it was a young adult or if it was an adult. I think it's more of an adult fiction type book, but it could go for teenagers as well. It has some really strange stories in it. It also gives you some interesting twists to the stories that maybe you already knew, but they have a little bit of a different spin on them. It's also very well written. Sometimes you read these types of books and the writing isn't that great. This was written very well. One thing I really love, it would tell you the legend and then it would tell you the story that went with it. Sometimes the legend was told in the beginning of the story, and then sometimes it was told at the end, probably depending on what a surprise it would be. There were a few that were really creepy. The kind of stories that scare me are the ones that are the real life, that could really happen to you stories, and there are some in there that are like that. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend it if you're into scary stories. So that's my monthly wrap-up. I had a really good reading month. I was happy with most of the books. Like I said, I'm a little burned out on the scary books, which I'm usually in the mood for them, so I'm going to try to take it easy with that for a little while, but such a fun month, and it was great. So thanks for watching. I'll be back with my November TBR, and I'll see you next time. Bye.